Alright guys, today I have some really good news to share with you about Death Stranding, and I'm actually really happy to be making this video because it's something that is certainly worth taking at least a few minutes here to celebrate and go over, especially knowing just how much negativity unfortunately has been surrounding this game. You don't have to look too far to see people trying to drag this game down and bring it down, and no, I'm not talking about the people who are just expressing what they aren't too fond of, why they don't like the game. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That's perfectly fine. I'm talking about those individuals who are just going out of their way to drag this game down and try to destroy it. It's very obvious to tell who's doing that versus who's just being, critical of the game. So the news I'm talking about here, it has to do with the sales of Death Stranding and how well it's selling, particularly in Japan. It actually has broken all records apparently this generation and is sitting at #1 when it comes to the biggest new IP launch in Japan at retail, which is insanely impressive, especially when you look at the company that is surrounding this game. So I'll try to put the chart on screen here for you. It lists the top 8 games, and sitting here at #1 is Death Stranding at about 186,000 units. We're just going to round up there because it's so close. So 186,000 units. And then sitting at #2 is Judgment, which is sitting at about 153,000 units. Then we have at #3 Sekiro Shadows Die Twice at about 150,000. Then behind that is Bloodborne, then ARMS, then Days Gone at #6, then Horizon Zero Dawn, and then Octopath Traveler. Now this is incredibly impressive. Now we know that there's no doubt a big reason why this game is selling so well in Japan is because it does have Hideo Kojima's name behind it, but I think that this is certainly a game that is doing well not just because of Hideo Kojima's name, but because it's actually a good game. There's stuff there that people really enjoy, and I see so many people trying to take that away from it, and so it makes me so happy to see it actually breaking this type of record, because this is pretty impressive. I mean, you're talking about the entire generation. It beating out games, in my opinion, like Sekiro or Sekiro, however you say it, and Bloodborne, and even Days Gone. We talked about earlier this year with how well Days Gone has sold for a new IP this generation, how it actually performed really well, surprisingly well in Japan, even beating out God of War. And you can see here it sold about 115,000 or 114,000 copies, I should say, which is really good for a game like that because you wouldn't expect that game to be super popular in Japan, and yet here it is. And then we see that Death Stranding has not only surpassed that, but surpassed that by a pretty large margin, sitting there at #1. I'm just so happy for the game. We talked recently about how it did pretty well in the UK, sitting at #2 as the biggest new IP and exclusive launch, and I'm sure it's doing well all around. I'm going to be interested to see how it does on the NPD, and I'm going to be really interested to see if Sony ends up saying anything or giving us any type of official numbers. I'm not expecting it, but it would be nice to get that. But either way, we can rest assured that the game is doing well, and all you have to do is just take one good look at this chart to see just how well the game is doing in some areas. And so I hope that it continues to sell well. I think we need more games like Death Stranding. We need to see more game makers and more game publishers allowing risks to be taken like this, regardless of whether the game's for you or not. I think that that is something, as I've talked about, we can all agree on, and it's incredibly nice to see a game as strange and bizarre and different as Death Stranding is, sitting at the #1 spot on this chart, because frankly I wouldn't have expected that. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I wanted to keep it short, but again, I wanted to take some time to go over this news because it gets me excited. I'm happy for it, and I also want to hear what you guys have to think about this. Let me know down in the comments below if you're happy to see this and if you're surprised by it, and also let me know, again, I know a lot of you already have, but continue to let me know how your experience has been so far in Death Stranding. I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or found it informative, or you're just happy to hear this news. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.